6 in closed session under exception C1, specific personnel, C23, collective negotiations, collective bargaining, C11, action or threatened litigation, and C21. We have been starting late consistently during the summer, and so one of the things that I asked is anything that wasn't on the agenda, we will be going back into closed session after our meeting up here, is because I didn't want to keep the community waiting. So with that, I'm going to ask for a roll call.
Mr. McBride?
Here.
Ms. Callahan Wozniak? Here. Ms. Gonzalez?
Here.
Ms. Leguizamo?
Present.
Ms. Hannah?
Yes.
And President Ewing?
Yes, so we are have a quorum here. Mr. Riddle could not attend, so we will proceed. What I'd like to do now is a motion to go back into open session.
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Leguizamo, second by Ms. Gonzalez. All in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. We're now in open session. Pledge of Allegiance. I'm going to ask Ms. Myers if she'd be so kind as to do the honors.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. I am going to forego my president's report due to time and a presentation that will be put on by the community. I do want to, it was asked of me about Don Johnson's wake. I know that she was a staple at a lot of these meetings. I do know that it is coming up. And I don't know if anyone, the 27th, thank you, Ms. Ellers. So it'll be the 27th, and I'll make sure that by the end of this meeting, I have all the information. I have it, but I can't pull it up on my phone. So, and Eloise Jones, yeah, again, this has been a season of loss for our district, individuals and staples in our community, those that have laid the way in a lot of regards, previous employees and educators. So we send our condolences and our sympathies to all of the families. So both of those funerals are on the 27th, but we will make sure that. And again, also want to send our condolences. We lost a member of our District 60 family who was a custodian over at Little Fort. So it has been, we're starting off the year. It feels like we're over this COVID hump, but there's still a significant season of loss, and we honor and respect those lives and their contributions to our district and to the community. Our student board member report. Our student board member could not be here, but she is super excited and sent over her statements. With school starting back in sports and she works, I'm always amazed at her dedication. So what she wanted me to say was our student board member is absent today due to a mandatory athletic meeting. Although she did want to mention that she will be hosting a car wash this Saturday at Wise Field from 10:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. The car wash is step one for her and her committee to raise money for a bigger fundraising event in collaboration and partnership with the At Mound Foundation, an organization that has been an excellent resource for district students in Waukegan. So make sure that you come out and support these kids from Waukegan, North Chicago, and Zion that are coming together to raise money for additional resources. And so again, that's this weekend at Wisefield, 10:30 to 4. My car is really, really dirty, so I hope they don't charge me extra. But they're cheap. They're only $5, but they are accepted other donations. So once again, if you need a car wash, stop by this weekend. So that concludes our student board member report. We're going to do our spotlight on 61st, and then we have a community presentation, which will take the other amount of our time from presentations.
Hello, welcome back WPS 60. We are so happy to start this new school year strong.
It's great to be back. Hope everyone had a great summer.
I hope all the students have a great year.
And learn as much as you possibly can.
Welcome back, 6th grade students. I'm super excited. This is my first year here, so I'm just excited to, change some lives, help a lot of students out, and make math really fun.
Bienvenidos a este año de Miguel Juárez 2022-2023. We're so excited to have you guys back, and here's to a great school year.
Hey, welcome back, Bulldogs! You can't believe all the wonderful things we got planned for you.
This is your principal, Miss Avalira Rodriguez-Gonzalez, coming on the mic to give you a welcome, a huge Bulldog welcome. We are so excited to welcome our 9th and 10th grade students here today.
We got it going on for you this year. We're ready for you to be intentional. Coming to school, we're getting ready for college.
And in case no one told you today, you belong, you're doing great, and we believe in you. This is going to be a fantastic year.
I'm feeling confident with just sitting in classes. I'm kind of nervous to see other people, but it's the whole school experience,
So excited for a brand new year. Great things coming. Bunch of smiling faces coming in the doors. Let's have a great year.
I am in safety. This is my first year, but I am excited for the kids, meet new kids and staff as well.
Going into this year, I know we're going to have a great year, and I look forward to meeting so many new students and helping them grow as individuals. Can't wait.
Just be true to yourself. You'll make it through. It's fine,
And I want to keep hyping up our media team. It is a small but mighty group of district personnel that do an amazing job. They're in the back on those cameras working, making sure that they're out there. And we've been told for a very long time that we don't do a good job of promoting the successes and the good things that are happening in District 60. And so this was actually an idea from an educator, and I'm glad that we've been able to implement it, but also that we have a board that's invested in the resources that allow us to broadcast our meetings, that allow us to post on YouTube, that allow us to find different and creative avenues in order to showcase what the district is doing. And then I want to shout them out too, is hopefully we can get I know they all are committed to making sure that our students also have access to this technology, and so this year we'd love to see some partnerships. But kudos to you all. We're excited for the start of the year. It's been a really good start. It feels really good to be in those buildings, and so thank you to all of those who had a hand in helping getting us to this point. So next up we have a community organization, and we have two presenters that'll come up, Mr. Coleman and Miss Cullen Williams. Are you sitting in the audience on mommy duty? We're gonna do it. So I love to see it. We got a Warhawk in the building. I shout that out every time, but we appreciate the partnership with Mr. Coleman and those other community members.
Yeah,
Solidarity. All right, I'll turn it over to you. Mr. Coleman, I'm sorry.
So we wanted to start by saying that this is a presentation not only for the board, but for the community as well.
I do apologize, but if you all want to speak into the mics for the individuals that are listening to online, it only picks it up if you're right there.
Okay, sorry about that. I just wanted to say that this presentation is not only for the board, but for the community. This is a presentation about community mental health. Okay, and this presentation is specifically about who we are, what we're trying to accomplish, and how you can help us. Next slide, please. So first we wanted to start talking to you about our goal. Our goal is very specific. We just want to create bridges between students and mental health wellness resources. Did you have the clip of the student?
We don't have it to share. But just to say that last semester, May 24th, we had several civic students come and present their projects. And one of those students was Jacqueline. She was a junior at the time. And her project was specifically targeting the mental health of the students, where she asked for support. She didn't really receive it, didn't know how to go about it. And she was basically having a cry for help and saying, what can we do to support the students? And based on that presentation, I watched it on YouTube because, as you see, I have a full family here. And the next day, I want to say, board president asked her for us to have a meeting. So in June, we started meeting and saying, how can we come together as a community resource? How can we empower our young people? But most importantly, how can we share a space with young people like Jacqueline so that they can feel empowered? And that's where this stemmed up. It didn't come from just individuals wanting to do work for themselves. It was really a response to Jacqueline's cry.
Next slide. So we want to talk about our key population. So our key population right now is high school students of Waukegan Public School System 60. We want to be very clear that we do know that all of the students deserve mental health services, but right now we just want to do a small scaled effort at the students, the high school students, and then once we do this small scale effort, we'll look at what works, what doesn't work, and try to scale it up. We also wanted to say very specifically that we are not treating the youth monolithically. We know that the student body is very diverse, but we are just looking at this from a student body perspective because of our limited resources. Do you have anything to add to that? Next slide. So we want to talk about who we are, right? So we want to be very clear that this is a student and community member centered effort where a lot of times the mental health resources or resources in general come from some sort of power down way. And we wanted to really change that. We wanted to let you guys know that this is student-centered and community member-centered. And we invite you to attend some of our meetings. They're held every Tuesday, but we'll talk more about that. But along with students and community members, there are also CBO leaders, community-based organization leaders. There are influencers, and then there are subject matter experts. And those subject matter experts come in the form of wellness experts, mental health experts, as well as crisis response experts as well. And we also consider our community members to be cultural experts as well. Next slide.
So moving on to engagement styles. How are we connecting with the students? How are we supporting them? We are going to do it both physical and virtually. So we have a set of in-person conversations set up, social emotional activities, hands-on interactive arts. Then we also have QR codes where we're using interactive polling and surveying. Again, how are we getting data? So across our team of networks, we have a lot of hands-on deck support. And what that looks like, we have individuals scheduling this polling, scheduling the surveys, and then we have myself looking at activities, and then the community coming in and saying, hands-on deck, who's the support, who's listening? Really going out and asking those questions. How are you doing? And a great example of that would be on August 12th, myself, Billy, and board president, we were at Washington campus for the entire lunch period. So for 4 lunch periods, and we just sat and talked. Connected with students, said, how are you? How was your school year been? Scan this QR code. And based off of that, we had well over 300 responses on our survey. I think that speaks to numbers, because again, we do surveys every year. But again, to get out in front of the students face-to-face, in person, have that contact, they weren't afraid to do the survey. They were willing to scan and give us their feedback. I think that speaks to numbers that the community coming into the room, that's making that topic more of a conversational piece, and they're being okay to talk about it. I think that's what speaks numbers, actually the community coming in. And so we saw powerful conversations happening, and we saw young people really willing to share. And I think that dispels the narrative that they don't want to talk about it. They really do want to talk about it.
I think when we talk about engagement, so can you go to the next slide? When we talk about results, right? We really looked at this from a student-centered perspective. We really asked ourselves, do they like the way we talk to them? Do they like the content that we're putting in front of them? Do they respond positively to the words that we're using? So we decided to do a 4-hour in-person dialogue where we had a QR code where they could scan it, and we just asked them word association questions. What comes to your mind when we say mental health, and what comes to your mind when we say anxiety? And from that, we got 318 responses that were put into 2 individual word clouds, and it allowed us to see how the students respond to that. For so long, we've used a school of thought that we have to talk at them, that we have to talk down to them, that we're giving them the education. Well, really, we need it. We need them to tell us, how do you want us to talk to you? How do you want to engage in this content? And they really responded well to that. I don't know if we have a copy of the word clouds, but we can provide that to you.
We will if we go through the rest of the presentation, and then we can speak to it.
Okay, perfect. But we did want to focus on the fact that 182 students responded. That's massive. You know, this wasn't us forcing them. We walked table to table. And we just showed them the QR code. And it was very non-invasive. It was anonymous, and they were able to give their feedback without feeling invaded, that their space was invaded.
And they did have the incentive of candy.
Go ahead. Next slide. You can go to the next video. We talked about that. So when we talk about engagement, one of the ways that we want to engage with the students is that we want them to own this process, meaning we want them to name our group and tell us what we should be called. We want them to really have ownership over this process. So we came up with a logo design contest. So the logo design contest is for all high school students, and they can submit their logos from now, well, once it's approved, from now till November 1st. And the winner of the logo contest will win a grand prize of $500. So we really want it to continue to be reinforced that they are in charge of this, that they tell us how they want us to even be named, and we want them to be creative. When we talk about putting buttons out there or t-shirts or slogans that talk about mental health or anxiety management, we really want them to drive the language that we use. Next slide. So we want to talk about the length of the project. This project is running from May until December of 2022. So in May through August, we have been doing community member collaboration and program design. So we've been meeting every Tuesday via Microsoft Teams to talk about this project and to get input from anybody who's willing to give that input. And we want to reiterate that the community is invited every Tuesday via Microsoft Teams to see our process and to engage with us. From August to December, we will be doing student engagement and community outreach, like we did on the 12th? On August 12th. Next slide. So we want to talk about the number of engagements. That's really hard for me to see. We want to be very clear that we want to make it we don't want them to miss us. So we want to be everywhere that they possibly are. So we have put together 49 different types of engagements for the students, for the parents, for community members to engage with us. So we have 13 individual physical encounters for students. I believe that's every third Friday, every second Friday in a physical space. And then we also have 16 community-focused virtual engagements from now until the end of December. And then we have 20 QR code design-based opportunities to engage. I don't know if the crowd knows what a QR code is. Does everybody know what a QR code is? Okay, so pretty much anywhere you see a QR code is an opportunity to engage. So we want to start looking at every space where the children are and say, is this an appropriate space to have a QR code where they can give feedback about anxiety or about mental health?
And just to add on, I'm sure some of you are questioning if we're saying the second Friday of every month, how does that equal to 13 in-person visits with students? We also have planned interactions on the late start Wednesdays, so we can do like a breakfast and a coffee and brunch with them to connect. So we are including those late start Wednesdays with those Fridays.
And just so everyone knows, we have those dates and we can release those dates once it's approved. I believe we have 5 physical student interactions and then 5 physical student input late starts. Next slide. So when we talk about success, how are we measuring success? We want to be clear that we want the students and the community to hold us accountable, to say, what are you doing in these spaces and how are you knowing that it's working? So our success metrics are based on the number of engagements. We want to be very clear with the community that research is showing that a lot of mental health resources are not culturally competent, that they don't work for a lot of the cultures that are currently in WPS 60. But right now, we don't have the bandwidth to recreate all of those resources. So right now, it's just about creating the bridge, getting them as close to these resources as possible, and getting their feedback. We also want to say that we are not forcing or suggesting that the kids engage with any of these. We're just getting them as close to it as possible and getting their feedback. So when we talk about number of engagements, we want to make sure they're physical and virtual, but we also want to have a variety of service options, okay? So we want to talk about mental health first aid certification courses that are available to them. We want to talk about in-person or telehealth counseling resources that are available to them. We want to talk about wellness and self-care workshops that are available to them. We want to talk about the Lake County Health Department Community Health Improvement Program that's available to them. We want to talk about structural violence. We want to talk about all the resources that are available to them to help them learn the language that's required to talk about what's going on with them and all the various ways they can engage with subject matter experts. We also want to open this space for community members to engage with us in these spaces as well. The students really respond when they see people from the community engaging with them. They don't respond very well to brands. Like if I'm like, hi, I'm with this company, they don't like that. But if I just say I'm a community member and I'm just here stepping in to say I'm concerned about the community and you're part of the community, they seem to respond better to that. So we've been working hard to create entry and exit points for community members to come in and say, you know what, I have a Friday and I can come in, I can learn about what you guys are doing and I can assist. I can go into a lunchroom and I can talk to the kids. Next slide. So lastly, we want to talk about style of reporting. How do we report to you guys about what we're doing? So do you want to talk about this? I'm sorry, I'm monopolizing the mic.
So when it comes to reporting, we plan to come to the board and the community monthly. So as we meet with the students the second Friday of every month, we then plan to come to present to you all the last Tuesday of the month to share the results of what we're doing. And we want to make sure that we're doing it based off of SWOT analysis centered. So what are our strengths? What are our weaknesses? Where are there opportunities for us to improve? But we're also going to say, where do we see threats? Where do we see the challenges that our students are facing? And how can we together, community and district, work together to improve these students and make sure that they're supported? So again, we plan on coming to you monthly. Again, I probably will not have all 3 of my children, but monthly, again, to have that open line of communication. We're here as Billy stated, normally services are provided top down. Here in this way, we want to do services across the board. Community to students, community to family, community to staff, community to the board. And I think the best way to do it is to have open communication. So please be prepared to see us the last Tuesday of every month.
We also wanted to take a moment to say, when we talk about centering the students, we also know that they set the pace for technology-based resources, right? And we're really trying to do a good job of leaning towards the style of technology that they like. It's tough for some of us because they're moving a bit faster than a lot of us, but we really encourage you to research Mentimeter, which is an outreach technology that we're using, and also to research Kylo Edu, which is an online interactive debating tool. So we're really trying to lean towards the way where they feel comfortable with the technology that's being used to reach out to them. So Mentimeter, yes ma'am, Mentimeter. Mm-hmm. And next slide.
And before we get to questions, I sent a word cloud, Lee, if we can just bring that up. Thank you, Mr. White. And then, as much as possible, I know it's small.
Just the top one, you could zoom in.
So Go ahead, Ms. Coleman.
So the way this word cloud worked is there was a QR code. We didn't give them any leading questions. We just showed them the QR code and we said, would you mind doing this survey for us? It's a 2-survey question. No names, no ages, nothing. And it just said, what words come to your mind when I say the words mental health? And they typed that in free form. So as you can see, the center word is the word that was said the most. And you see it's very bold, depression. But once you dig into the word cloud, you get to see all their different responses, right? And that kind of guides how we engage with them. The interesting thing about Mentimeter is that it responds to you live, right? It's in real time. So as they're clicking, that word cloud is growing. So we can literally see while we're standing there if people were participating or not. And that really helps us be effective in the space. We're not just there hoping that we get enough responses. We're literally clicking the app and making sure that we're getting these responses. But when we have time, we'll dig into some of these words with you. But if you can look there, you see depression, you see sad, you see anxiety, you see happy. You see, a number of different responses, and that's what we'll use to kind of guide us as we engage with the students.
So then, board, if there are any questions, and I know too, there were individuals in the audience who participated in at least a meeting or a couple. I know they came out to be in solidarity, so I see members from the Lake County Health Department. I know we have Ms. Gonzalez, Mr. Edwards was able to join us today, and then we have Ashley and Billy. So I just want to thank you all, and then open it up to the board for questions of Mr. Coleman or Ms. Cullen Williams. Ms. Hannah.
I am overjoyed that that you all are doing this for our students, and it appears we bring in things, right? I'm already feeling in my spirit that this is meaningful, and that's what we need for our students, something meaningful. You talked about doing surveys. I am very interested because I had a personal issue, and I want to know how our students are feeling about how they're being treated in the school environments. Okay, and so I don't know if you've done that yet, and you're doing it for all high school students, right?
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, I'm very interested in that because I hear things, and it's disturbing, because I don't want our students to be in an environment where people are being rude to them, people are just saying anything to them and talking to them any kind of way. And I if you can, if you all would do a QR code in reference to that, because I'm very interested to hear.
I did want to say that we work in unison with the high school principals. So we engaged with the high school principals this morning just to give them an overview of what we're trying to do. So we want to keep working in alignment with them. I think also one of our goals is to make sure that the responses are as authentic as possible. So when we did the outreach on Washington campus, we actually had to leave the QR codes on the table and literally just leave. They didn't want to fill it out right in front of us. And I think, regardless of the topic, it's about letting them know that they own the space in which they give the feedback, and maybe that happens after we've left. Right? We want to keep the lines of communication open. That's what the technology does for us, but it also allows them to answer questions in ways that make them feel comfortable. Right. So it's not just multiple choice or essay. Right. It might be a word association, or it might be a scale.
Yes.
Does this does this phrase apply to you?
Right.
Or does this second phrase apply to you? So we, maybe at a later date, I can show you Mentimeter and you can see all the different ways that it works. But yeah, it's just about keeping it authentic.
Thank you. I'm glad you all are here. Thank you.
Ms. Leguizamo.
I have two quick questions for you. So at this moment, what is your maximum capacity for your services? I know you said that your target audience is the high school, which is a population of 4,400.
Yes.
But are you planning on, is that your maximum capacity is 4,400? Or I'm just trying to understand, the amount of people that you will be servicing, the amount of students. Or not even students, right? Because it's open also to our staff population as well, is what I thought I heard.
No, so for right now, the community mental health team is just servicing Waukegan High School students through December.
Wow.
That's our plan right now. And so for capacity, again, we're just being the bridge to the resource. So we're going to be there at Washington, Brookside, and AOEC to share the information and the details. However, the capacity is based on, we did 3. It was 3 of us on Friday. So ideally, we would love to have 10 to 15 at each campus at the same time, versus right now it being alternating campuses. So when we talk about capacity, right now when we talk about entry and exit points, we would like a community member to participate in a team meeting, at least 2 meetings first, before joining us on a Friday, just to vet the process and just to understand where we're coming from and what our goals are for that Friday. So if you attend 2 meetings and then you do the background check, we would like you to participate. But ideally, we would love to have 10 to 15 community members at each campus on those second Fridays. Because the more the merrier, community faces, I think it matters again. Right now, our team, we lack the Latino presence, right? So ideally, if we had more members of that community to share and talk more about mental health, that's how we build the bridge and we connect. So the capacity, there is no limit. Any community member can participate and can join us and join us in this support group.
I'm excited about that. Thank you. And the last question that I have here, has your organization projected the financial backing that you need from us?
So our backing is more about making room for us on campus, right? So when we talk about those 20 different engagements where the QR code should be, that's where principals or staff or counselors can work with us and say, we need a QR code here, we need a QR code there. We did talk about a $300 requirement for the Mentimeter subscription. But that's the only financial requirement right now. We are really trying to encourage the community to engage, to volunteer, and to look at the schoolhouse as a space for the community to come together and show solidarity. So I think that's the only financial requirement at this point.
I'm gonna go to Ms. Wozniak, and then I saw Mr. McBride, and then we're okay on time, but 7:36. So. Go ahead, Ms. Wozniak.
I was just asking for the Mentimeter. Can you spell that for us? And the high-low, how to spell that so we can find those sites.
Sure. So Mentimeter is MENTIMETER. Mentimeter. And Kailo Edu is KAILO.edu. Both of those have a community-based platform and an education-based platform. So they really service populations like WPS 60.
Well,
Mr. McBride?
No, I was listening at you. The question was raised from a financial standpoint. You're going to need that. Number one is when you start talking about incentives, even with the idea, if you decide to say you want to send a strong message to the community with buttons, you got to pay for those. And that's important, to be identify yourself as, well, this is what I care about. Just like me wearing this cap right now, I wear it for a reason, and when people read it, hopefully they get something out of what they read. So that's what I'm coming from. But also to the idea of surveying. I know at one time when I was community organizer, I had one of my surveys were teen pregnancy, gang violence, drug abuse, and all those things. And I know that a lot of those things goes on in our buildings, and I don't think sometimes that our staff recognize that. I would dare to say I can go probably in a classroom and there's a kid that smoked a blunt, and the teacher probably don't even know he said that and smoked a blunt before he came to school. So those are some of the things I think that when you know those things, you put these pieces in place. And right now, we don't even have substance abuse counselors in our schools, and we should have that, because number one, if a kid is coming to school every day and he's doing what he's supposed, and he's doing what he's doing in the community, and he brings it to the school, it affects all the students. So that when I hear say, well, so and so he got a package and he's selling, because that affects all the students and it gets around. So I'm hoping that when you start looking at areas of issues that you're concerned about in terms of engagement, you look at things such as that when it comes to mental health crisis. That's a mental health crisis, and those things lead to violence. And I know in my community, I see it every day, and not just violence. I see people lost of life just because of these things that I'm talking about right now. And so we got to at some point nip these things in the bud through communication, and hopefully being able to instill some morals and values in our kids. And who's better to do it than individuals like yourself, because you can relate and you see what's going on. So I support you 100%, and it's been a need. And what you're doing now, I asked for that a long time ago. I asked for a think tank to bring the community in to deal with some of the issues that we're going on in our buildings, but I've never gotten to that point yet. But I did ask for what you're doing now, so I'm so glad to see you have it and you got the community involved, because number one, the community is part of the problem. Who else better can mentor kids in the building that can identify with the kids that they see every day when they come home in their living room and their kitchen? Thank you.
Yes, sir. And I did want to respond by saying that there is 2 goal points here. One is data, but the primary one is listening. A lot of the children or a lot of the young adults don't feel heard, and we want to make sure that they understand that that's the primary objective. We don't want them to feel like we're trying to prod them for data. So while we know that's important for success metrics, it's also very important that they know that we're there to listen, we're there to make them feel heard, and that we're here to align their requests with solutions.
Right.
Ms. Hannah, and then I got a final statement, and then we can move on.
Yeah, and in reference to the financial resources, you are doing exactly what the ESSER money was intended for. Student social emotional wellness. And so I'm going to look over at our superintendent, and I'm going to hope that that there will be a conversation about this organization and giving some sort of funding so that they can move forward in an expedited way, because this is so very needed in our schools, and we need to do this now, and not prolong it because of the system obstacles and all of that. Okay, and I just I'm really proud to say that you're from the communities, right here, and so you have that that tie with the students and the community, and so we need you, and I am in support of what you're doing, and I also will support any funding that is put forth for this effort.
I just want to make a quick note, because Mr. McBride mentioned surveys, and he mentioned gang violence, gun violence, substance abuse, teen pregnancy. I just want to make this clear that this is going to be geared towards mental health. all of those symptoms that you just announced are due to trauma,
Yes.
right? So we're going to be focusing these QR codes and these surveys, these hands-on activities on that social emotional piece of it, on the trauma, on the feelings, versus just surveying the symptoms of it,
Right.
because that's already been done.
Right.
So I want to get that message clear that it's going to be really geared towards those mental health questions, focusing on the feelings, focusing on the trauma, naming the trauma, so that then we can then come to the community and actually say and share these stories. Because right now, these young people, they have voices and they've been muted,
Yes.
or they don't know how to share the story. So our goal is to share their story, not necessarily provide the service. And I think that's where Billy and I can come back again, because we also stand here representing two different organizations, the North Chicago Think Tank and Honeybee Wells.
Right.
So I think that's also a different opportunity where we will be asking for funding and how we support the students and staff.
And I did want to end by saying, like, the community members or staff, even by attending one meeting, I think you'll get a lot of clarity on what we're doing. Subject matter experts attend, community members attend. We make open space for people to critique what we're doing and to ask questions. So we don't want people to feel like you need to sign up for the whole program in order to attend a meeting or to engage with us. We're really making it as easy as possible for people to engage with us.
I'm sorry. If
Go
somebody
ahead.
wants to join your meeting, how do they do that?
We have a link and a calendar invite. We use Microsoft Teams. I can
Yes.
forward that information to you.
To
All of you.
Email.
The
So I guess
community?
if you email it to me, there's not a community landing page right now. I don't think we have it posted publicly.
No, we don't have it posted publicly.
But yeah, right now, if you reach out to any individual that's here, we'll make sure that you get it. It did grow organically, right? So that was kind of how it happened. I want to very briefly, one, thank them for the commitment, and then two, also make it clear is that we are doing this in partnership with the district, and I see some of our school leaders from the high school out there working with Miss Patty, because we want to supplement, we don't want to supplant, right? Is because I think even with some of the things that Miss Hannah, for example, you mentioned related to surveys, is those are things and information and data points that the principals and teams are already gathering as well. So we do have a leadership team at the high school that has been open and receptive, and so we are working with Miss Patty in order to go through those things. And right now the financial contribution are the resources. Is can we make sure that it doesn't cost them anything in order to do this work, right? We talked about buttons and pens. We have a print shop. So by working in collaboration, anything that has a cost associated with, at least for this pilot, we can talk through what that looks like, and we can do it collaboratively with those that have budgets. I see Ms. Fulton, I see Ms. Fields, I see it's a lot of budgets out there, and we're in the budget process. So I'm not hitting nobody's budget. I'm just saying is we can find the resources to accomplish what it is that we need to accomplish. So thank you all, and I appreciate taking the time and for coming out and speaking to the board. And the next steps for the group would be to, with Ms. Patty finalizing the attendance and the procedures, our attorney feverishly taking notes, right, to make sure that we're doing everything the right way. But we are ready, and we appreciate you guys taking the time and for stepping up and committing to the entire summer and for this fall semester. And I do want to highlight Jackie. I dropped the ball, as I know she got the invite, but I forgot to reach out again after our meeting, and with her being back in school. But she has really been involved. I mean, it was her and other students who came forward that started this initiative, and she met with us every Tuesday all summer and went and volunteered at the school in order to help be a part of the solution. So we really appreciate her, and I always say great things come from Waukegan because we have some amazing students, and they don't want to just continue to do things the way that they've been done. They want to be a part of the change, and so we want to work to empower and uplift them and support those future generation of Waukegan leaders. So thank you all, and we appreciate you.
Amen.
All right. Next up, we have our minutes from our previous meetings.
Board President, I'd like to take all of them together except for A.
Okay, so if we can take items B, C, D, and E.
What?
There for all of them?
Because I need some corrections in minutes, in some of the minutes. Okay.
So let's take them individually. Item
September 14th.
8A for approval of the minutes of the open session meeting of September 14th, 2021. We have a motion.
To approve. I move.
Motion by Ms. Gonzalez,
Second.
second by Ms. Wozniak. Any comments or corrections to the minutes?
Yes, Board President comment.
Go ahead, Ms. Leguizamo.
I've already sent in 2 submissions for
Can
correction
you
on that
state
one.
them for the record, please?
It is. I do have that. Page 3, paragraph 9. Fill in the blank with Brandon Ewing. Page 9, section 15, B as in boy. Change the typo from Miss to Mr. Husseini.
And Ms. Hannah?
Yeah. There's some need for on page I don't know what this is. I guess page 2, and it is under special recognition and presentations. The name is Harvey Ricks, RICKS, instead of Harvey Rex. And I also was going to correct, instead of Miss Hussein, it was Mr. Hussein.
Got it.
That was on that one.
So we have a motion to approve with those corrections. Ms. Gonzalez?
As amended.
Do I withdraw my motion?
No,
or
just go
motion?
ahead as amended.
Oh, as amended.
Yeah.
Second.
All right. All in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay.
Pass.
There.
Pass. One pass, Ms. Leguizamo.
Miss Lucy, you went there.
So it is 1, 2,
Right there.
3,
Right.
4, 5 affirmative.
That's why I did pass.
Right. So 5 affirmative, 1 pass. Ms. Hannah, did you want any of the rest voted on separately, or were you comfortable with taking those B through E as in one item?
The one
Where's
that
Ms.
I'm
Hannah's
looking at.
D as in dog?
Okay, okay, now I'm looking at. Okay, let me just change this. I'm like crazy.
Ms. Hannah, yours is D as in dog.
Yeah, there, and
Because then we can take B as in boy, C as in cat, E as in Edward together.
So for time, I'm going to ask the motion to approve items B, C, and E.
So moved.
Motion by Ms.
Second.
Leguizamo, second by Ms. Gonzalez. Any comments or questions or corrections to the minutes? All in favor signify with aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay. Minutes are approved. Motion carries. We are now at what was that? D.
D as in dog. Yes.
So item 8D, approval of the minutes of the open special session meeting for July 11th, 2022.
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Leguizamo.
Second.
Second by Ms. Wozniak. Any comments, questions, corrections to the minutes?
None.
All in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Minutes are
I'm
approved.
past it. I'm passing. I wasn't at that.
So we got 5 in the affirmative, no nays, and 1 abstention. Okay, opportunity for public comment. I have the sheet. When I call your name, please come up to the microphone. If you need translation services will be provided to you, and you will get 6 minutes to allow for the translation. We do ask that you refrain from mentioning staff and student names in your remarks. First name on the list is Mark Shinkton.
Good evening. Last week I had the opportunity to meet the new principal at the Brookside campus. And before I met her, I sent her a little email because she reminded me of a pretty successful gentleman his name was PJ Fleck. So I won't bore you about PJ Fleck because I only have 3 minutes and I have 2 points. But look up PJ Fleck. He had a mantra for that at the school he was at, and it was row the boat. Now, everybody in their own department and the students and faculty, we all row going throughout a day. But his point was, if we're all in a boat and we're not rowing in the same direction, the boat goes nowhere. And he was able to change the culture at the school with this culture. I'm excited because I believe this person has the capability of making this type of change here. Only time will tell. Second point, watching television can be quite funny, but at the same time, thought-provoking. I saw on a news channel that talked about the youth of America and our youth being overweight. And it made me chuckle because they said it was due to climate change. Whether or not it's real, but we've come to a point where, and I thought to myself, we've lost I thought we don't take responsibility for our own actions anymore. Something is always passed off for another reason or a scapegoat of why something isn't happening.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shington. Next name is Chet.
Yes, I did a FOIA on ethics from 2018 January till August 5th of this year. And what I got back is they can't find any records on any of that. When I know someone filed one at the beginning of the month, I think August 5th, they filed a complaint. So they denied me that. And also about the bank building, about who's going to pay for it, how much money, who's going to do it, and everything else. And they said they don't know. They spent $45,000 on an engineer, but the engineer came back and said nothing, what they're going to do about it. So what's going on? I don't know.
Thank you, Chet. Next name on the list is Mr. Ray Vukovic.
Good evening. Before I talk about what I came up here to talk about, just like to thank Ashley and Billy for the presentation tonight. Just how grounding, I mean, it's from the community on up, and for such a good cause. And I hope the board is behind them because it's something that's really needed in this school system. The thing that really got my attention is that this group intends to come before this board and this public on a monthly basis and give a report. And this board spends hundreds of thousands of dollars with agencies from outside of this district that we in the community know very little about or where we're getting the bang for the buck on that. So I hope it's a learning experience for you all on this issue as well. What I'm here to talk about tonight is item 10J on your agenda. Your consent agenda, you're proposing to hire a web administrator, a contracted service. On the one hand, I'm grateful you're doing that. Maybe now your lawyer won't use that as an excuse as to why your board minutes aren't posted on the website. The other part, that position has been vacant now for 13 months. Has anybody thought about going back and reclassifying that and looking at the wages and the benefits on that position? And then the other thing is, you've hired a firm from Florida. You're paying $156 an hour. There are a lot of webmaster companies between Waukegan, Illinois, and Florida. So, is that the best bang for the buck also? Just want to throw that out there for you to look into. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vukovic. Next name on the list is Yvonne Fulton.
Good evening, board. Good evening, community. I just wanted to echo what Vukovic just said about Ashley and Billy. That's the definition of school and community. A lot of times we say we're doing school and community, and we're pretty much not. That's the image of school and community. And to touch upon transmute intergenerational trauma, that's big. We talk about when she said muted, Ashley knows her terms and endearment, but we need to transmute intergenerational trauma is very relevant in this community and all over this country, right? And so I commend you guys. I commend the leaders at the high school for really seeing that we need community in the schools. That's what we preach up on the Grow Your Own program. If you're not a community person, and that's one of the questions we ask when we do accept people in the Grow Your Own program, what's your definition of school and community? And if you don't know that definition, then you're not school and community, right? You need to know that you need to be working inside a community regardless. I say I don't live in Waukegan. That was a choice of mine because I'm so close to my kids and I don't feel I want to go home, right, and just rest. But I do know that I'm in this community, going to church, going to the grocery store, and going to events. So you have to have some attachment to school and community. So I appreciate Ashley and Billy for doing that presentation. That's all I have to say.
Very good. Thank you, Ms. Fulton. Next name on the list is Rayon Edwards.
Good evening, everybody. Just seeing and glad to see that we are approving minutes of previous meetings. However, it brings great sadness to me to see that we are still in 2021 when we're almost done with 2022. We got to do better. And so I'm not even really going to piggyback off of these notes right here that's in front of me. I think tonight two of my friends have showed y'all what it's like, what the work is, and the work that's being done. And so I always talk about the importance of community engagement. And the one thing that upsets me is when I'm out in the community, which is every day, and I'm talking to the residents of Waukegan, they don't know who y'all are. Not most of y'all. Y'all, we got to do better. Transparency for this district is lacking. I'm doing research, and I'm seeing a lot of staff that we've hired has a do not hire in other districts. And so when I'm talking to other districts, it made me mad when another district told me that we are known for the district to accept trash. I look at and I come to these meetings. We've been to overseas. We've been to Puerto Rico. We've been everywhere looking for teachers. I ain't seen no HBCU yet. I haven't seen it. It's a lot of them in Atlanta. We hire firms to go out to hire somebody, and then we go to a specific area to hire them. I don't like this. I see maybe 2, 3 board members out of 7 in the community when community is doing something. We don't know y'all. And obviously you don't know us, which is what's making it so hard for you to make the right decisions concerning us. You don't know how we live. You don't know what's going on in our community. And then when a lot of y'all come up in there, you're not welcoming. You're not smiling. You're not approachable. You ain't got to like me, but you should listen to me because I'm there with them. I am one of them. And I would like to say a lot of y'all are, but I can't. Not from the heart, I can't. Because you guys don't treat us as such. And so going forward, I don't want to have to be the one to come to this meeting and say what y'all not doing. I would love to be able to come in and say some of the good things that's doing, but I believe in accountability. And when you knowingly continue to go on, when you know others are doing wrong, you're complicit. You're just as guilty as they are. Transparency. Let's use it. Please.
Thank you, Mr. Edwards. All right, if we can get the agenda back on the line. What I'm going to do is ask, we have our consent agenda that's there. It's been broken down into 2 sections, one from our academics section and meeting, and one from our operations meeting that we have every 3rd Tuesday. With that, any board member can request that any items be voted on separately. Are there any requests to hold any items separately at this time?
No, I do want to talk about item B.
So then we do want to hold item B over.
No, I'm not asking to hold it.
We're going to vote on it separately. If there are questions, we take it as one action.
Okay, we'll take it. I mean, do whatever. I got a question
About B. Okay. So do we have a motion? Is there anything else that anybody wants held over? I do want to call out item J, so I'll hold that over. And then with that, I'm going to ask for a motion to approve items A, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, K, and L.
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Wozniak, second by Ms. Leguizamo. Any comments or questions on the motion? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. McBride?
Yes.
Ms. Callahan Wozniak?
Yes.
Ms. Gonzalez?
Yes.
Ms. Hannah?
Yes.
Ms. Leguizamo?
Yes.
President Ewing?
Yes. Motion to approve items carried. Read those for the record. 10A, attendance at the DL Administrator at National Association of Black School Educators Conference. CB&B Networks. D, 21st Century Learning Tech Cards. E, renewal of Infinite Campus Student Information System. F, renewal of DocuSign and CLM. G, approve renewal of Elevate K-12 for 2022-2023 school year. H, approval renewal of Cardonics Education Advanced Inc. for 2022-2023. I, information purchase of laptops for teachers. K, attendance at the National Alternative Education Association Conference. And L, attendance at 2022 ILS Conference. Now we're going to go back up to item 10B, purchase of 43 MacBooks.
I guess I should.
Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Ms. Wozniak, second by Ms. Leguizamo. Any comments or questions on the motion?
Yes, I have some questions, and I guess I should have. That was my oversight. I should have also talked about I too. Okay, I am wondering about the devices for all students. If and I'm not asking this just in the diverse learners. I'm not, specifically talking about the DL students. I'm talking about students, period. And making sure that all of our students are equipped with the devices. There's reports of broken Chromebooks, Chromebooks that they don't have, all types of scenarios, and the concern was that with testing, with testing, it's getting ready to gear up. The testing is done with computers that our students won't be prepared for the testing. And so I just want to make the request that we get an update on how many students do not have their devices, their Chromebooks for classes, and that we need to do whatever it takes. We're buying MacBooks for new staff. We're replacing where to go? Laptops for teachers. Okay, our students need those devices, and so I am asking for an update on whether our students have their devices, and if not, how many don't have their devices, and when could they expect them? And this is coming not from me, not from students, this is coming from teachers.
Good evening, board member, community member, board president, superintendent. Thank you for the question, Ms. Hannah. So the tech depots, they were open during the summer school, and we opened both tech depots to provide technical support to students that were during the summer school, as well to students that were not attending during the summer school, to facilitate the first week of classes so that the students that kept their devices, if they have any problems during the summer, they can receive the technical support during the summer. We have plenty of devices available for students. We also provided additional loaners to the buildings, so the principals, they have additional devices as well in the case that a student have a broken device, so that they can use that loaner during the time. I also have a conversation with Dr. Jonathan Brown about the testing window. For those students that basically do not have a device, and let's say, for example, there's no enough loaners at the building for X or Y reason, so that the testing window, the principal have the authority to schedule that testing window until the month of the end of September. And so one challenge that we face, and I want to be very honest and transparent, there were a few buildings that they collected the devices during the summer, and when the students moved to the next grade, they show up to the school without the device. So we're coordinating with the area superintendents, we're coordinating with the principals that collected those devices so that the students can receive them. And that's one of the challenges that we face with a few schools.
And just a question, Dr. Cuevas, in terms of having the principals move dates to accommodate the testing, my concern is that if that's done, will we get delayed results from our testing?
My understanding, based on the conversation with Dr. Jonathan Brown, there is a testing window. So during that testing window, they can schedule the test. I believe it's until the end of September.
Okay, and my main concern is to make sure our students, all of those that are testing, have the devices, because that's how they're testing students now. And
completely agree, Ms. Hannah, and I just want to repeat again, we have plenty of devices available for the students.
Thank you, Mr.
Can I
Thank you.
make a comment too on that?
Go ahead,
just
Ms.
really
Gonzalez.
quick. I think
for the people at home who are watching this is a really great opportunity to remind parents or guardians that, you know, we have plenty of devices. That one-to-one program is very expensive. We know technology is the most important thing right now for access, but you got to take care of those things. You got to take care of your phone. You got to take care of your laptop. It's not something you get for free and then someone else bears the expense. Our taxpayers pay the expense because our kids deserve those technologies. But we got to treat it as, you know, if something's wrong with it, let me go to IT. Let me notify someone that I need my charger, I need something's wrong. That way it gets fixed, and that way, you know, you're prepared for the school year, the testing, or whatever the case may be. You know, because we want to talk about personal accountability. That's something that the students can take the onus on and learn how to do at the time that they get their laptop.
And thank you for the comment. And that's something that I do know that the principals, the computer assistant, the teachers, they are actually reminding the students on a daily basis, bring your charger, charge the Chromebook at home, do not remove the cover, keep it in the case. It's basically we're educating on a daily basis to our students why it is important for them to have the devices.
Yeah, and that brings up another question. Are we telling the student superintendent that they cannot charge their devices at the schools? I heard that.
There are limitations with the electrical outlets that are in the classroom. So it's not that you can charge 25 devices at the same time. That's what we recommend the students to charge them. That's why we also provided loaners at the buildings in case that the student forgot the charger or did not charge the device, so that they will have a loaner available ready for them to use. But there is a limitation with the number of outlets that we have in the classrooms.
Thank you. I was going to ask you about one more question, but that's about our telephone service.
I say we're good. We can go on ahead and finish off this roll call.
Excuse me, I was talking to Dr. Cuevas.
I say this conversation, we have a board protocol where we have stated that once when it's over a specific amount of time, all of our questions have been answered, which they have. Now you want to go on to a different subject. That's okay. You can put it under the discussion point. That comes up later on in the thing. So I'd like for us to just finish off this roll call so that we can proceed with this board meeting.
You're not the board president.
No, but we all have a responsibility. So thank you, Ms. Hannah, for the questions, and thank you, Ms. Leguizamo, for keeping us on task. I do know this is one of those conversations that always baffle me as a board member, and I'm sure you too, Dr. Cuevas, right? Is you got teachers that say, hey, I don't got hand sanitizer. And then I go, but I got a warehouse full and I spent millions of dollars, right? So I know that you do a great job of tracking those inventories, of ordering and when we need replacements, of keeping up to date so that we do have a laptop for every student and backups, right? And you have been very, very good about modernizing, right, those laptops, as well as making sure that we're replacing them. A 12-year-old laptop does no one any good, right? So I want to say kudos, but they're obviously, to any of my principals or, you know, our area superintendents, just a communication plan around if you have students that do not have a Chromebook or are experiencing those teachers, they got to know how they go and they request it. So it seems to be a disconnect between what we have and how we get it to those students. So thank you, and appreciate your efforts. With that, I'd like a roll call vote.
Ms. Callahan Wozniak?
Yes.
Mr. McBride?
Yes.
Ms. Gonzalez?
Yes.
Ms. Hannah?
Yes.
Ms. Leguizamo?
Yes.
President Ewing?
Yes, item approved, motion carries. Then we are at item J. If it's not urgent, I personally believe that Mr. Vukovic made some valid points with the amount that we're looking for $150,000. Due to the amount of time that we've gone without, I don't necessarily think that 2 weeks will dramatically delay this process. Do you, Dr. Cuevas?
Unfortunately, I need to disagree.
Okay.
The web developer position, this position has been vacant for over a year. The previous web administrator, he was also helping us as an independent contractor. That's why we were able to survive, because we were using his services. Up to a point that he said, Josue, I cannot do both jobs. He moved to a different role in his professional life, and he was helping us until we can hire someone. Unfortunately, these positions are very technical. You need to know multiple programming languages. It's not just one. You need to understand how databases are customized and integrated. It is a very technical, and you need to have a specific skills as a programmer, and that's why we're having the challenge to find qualified candidates. I've been working with local recruiting agencies to see if we can find someone, and unfortunately, we have no luck.
And no, we don't have anyone in district with those skills?
Unfortunately, the position is being open for over a year. I've been telling my own team, do you know someone that you can make a recommendation? Because we're hungry to hire them, because there's a lot that we have behind that we need to complete with these positions.
Well, there's so many.
Can you talk to why Florida? I don't know, but I think the sticker here was Florida versus local. Was this one?
That's not the sticker, but that was his point. My main point is the cost, right? So if we're saying tech services at $150,000, what if I offer someone $150,000 locally to do it? Would we find a better candidate? And I'm not saying I want to, but we're gonna spend the money, right? And that's the catch-22.
And it's a valid question. We're not looking at one individual that knows how to program in HTML. This individual needs to know PHP, SQL, integration with databases, needs to know cybersecurity, needs to know how to do integration, needs to know PHP. So it's not just one programming language. And that's what is unique about this position. The individual that was before, he worked for the district for 7 years, and he mastered all that. And he customized a lot of the systems that we have. So we need to have someone that will have those skill sets.
So as a part of and I read through the contract, and I don't remember this coming up, and I know they don't, you don't want to price yourself out, but is a training component something that we can invest in and to upskill our internal talent?
So part of these 480 hours that we're covering, there is training included. And actually, I hope that we can hire, we'll continue working to try to find a qualified candidate. The Human Resources Department, they even pay extra services with Indeed, with Monster, so that Monster.com, so that we can expand the research options to attract candidates here.
Ms. Wozniak?
How many other companies did you look at besides this one?
So we look Express agency local here. So I work, with Lucy. She's been helping me. I'm going back and forward trying to find candidates.
No, I mean for this 150,000. How many other IT companies did you look at besides?
I think there was 3.
Besides this company?
Yeah.
So this company, basically, I was making phone calls to individuals until someone say, I have, individual contractors and this company. Basically, the individual, he worked with us on the disaster recovery MDF project, so that he actually make the recommendation, for these individuals as well.
And
it's basically me making phone calls.
And everything that this company does, we have priority over, or authority over. We own it.
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct. Yeah, these are internal systems. Yes.
So are we just needing consensus to hold it over? I know, Board President, you said that you wanted to hold it over. Are we looking for
What necessarily? I wanted to. I have my questions answered. I don't love it, but I also know the competition that exists in the market, and if we are going to be able to upskill our own internal talent, then I would support a temporary fix in order to allow us to be able to maintain the website, because it is important. But I'm always big about growing your own, and these are skills in programming that we can train internal staff who may be interested, or even partnering with the College of Lake County to say these are the skills that we need.
I already sent an email to Dean Ruiz. asking, do you have any student? And so we're still, I'm trying to.
I got you. I know. So I appreciate you answered my questions and reassured me, as I know that you did your due diligence and you've looked at all of these options. And so I wanted to make sure that I asked my question because I go back to, right, is if I post a position that's 80,000 and I don't know what it was posted at, right? We don't actually post salary, so I don't even know if we got that far. We weren't even getting applicants that were qualified.
We're not getting qualified candidates.
Got you. Ms. Wise, it's Leguizamo.
Just really quick. So if the board is looking to only have this as a temporary, I was trying to find it really quick, but this is for legal counsel on the contract. Is it only a 1-year contract or is it a multi-year contract?
It's 1 year.
It is a 1 year. Okay, so at least that'll.
Yeah, that's what I say, temporary.
Have to come
Yep,
up for renewal. And another discussion again. So, okay, thank you for that clarification.
So we got a motion and a second. I got my questions answered. Roll call vote, please.
Ms. Callahan Wozniak?
Yes.
Mr. McBride?
Yes.
Ms. Gonzalez?
Yes.
Ms. Hannah? Ms. Leguizamo? President Ewing?
Yeah,
Yes.
go ahead. So Leguizamo is a yes.
I was looking at Mr. Dr. Quavers, yes.
President Ewing is a yes too. So for the record, we have 6 yeses.
Thank you.
Who made the motion?
Who made the original motion?
Was that you that made the? No.
There wasn't.
No, we couldn't debate it without it.
Yeah. There was a motion.
I made the motion.
I
Maybe I
think it was
seconded
Ms.
it.
Wozniak and then Ms. Leguizamo.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. I'll second.
I think it was on that side.
To be clear, do we have a motion to approve?
Yes.
Motion by
Second
Ms.
motion.
Wozniak, second by Ms. Gonzalez. Roll call vote.
Ms. Callahan Wozniak?
Yes.
Mr. McBride?
Yes.
Ms. Gonzalez?
Yes.
Ms. Hannah?
Yes.
Ms. Leguizamo?
Yes.
President Ewing?
Yes, item approved, motion carries. We now have the consent agenda for operations. Any questions that any board members would like to hold any of these items over separately?
No.
All right, motion to approve items 11A, B, and C.
So moved. Sorry, second.
Motion by Ms. Wozniak, second by Ms. Leguizamo.
Do we need to repeat that?
No, we good. Roll call vote, please.
Ms. Callahan Wozniak?
Yes.
Mr. McBride?
Yes.
Ms. Gonzalez?
Yes.
Ms. Hannah?
Yes.
Ms. Leguizamo?
Yes.
President Ewing?
Yes, item approved, motion carries. Let me read those for the record. Sorry, if we can go back up, please. 11A, approval of the facility rental waiver request for Lake County Community Concert Association 2022-2023 concert series. Request authorization to sign arbiter pay agreement and establish an initial contact. And item C, approval to attend CUBE conference in Miami, Florida. We now have item 12, purchasing contracts. And unless anyone is opposed, I am going to ask that we have a motion to take items A, B, and C together.
So moved.
Motion
Second.
by Ms. Wozniak, second by Ms. Gonzalez. Any comments or questions on the motion?
Comment.
Go ahead, Ms. Leguizamo.
Comment in regards to 12A, student accident and athletic catastrophic accident insurance renewal.
Mm-hmm.
That was a mouthful. So I just wanted to ask the superintendent to see if your team would consider doing or providing the services to all of our student athletes a concussion baseline test for all of our athletes. I think that is something that all student athletes should have as they progress and go forward, even something that they would have going into college. Just wanted to make that comment to the superintendent. Thank you, Board President.
That's something you can look into and bring
I
back.
will definitely look into it because right now I'm like, let me look into it.
Yeah.
And I have one question.
Go ahead, Ms.
regarding
Hannah.
Are we, the employee life insurance renewal, is that still, we are still self-insured with that, right?
Yeah, we are. We are taking items A, B, and C together.
I didn't hear that. Okay. I'm sorry. Somehow I missed
Good evening. I'm Rosie Berry, Manager of Employee Benefits. The life insurance portion is not under the Blue Cross, what you're talking about as self-insured. This is one, it's the life insurance only, that is district paid life offered to all employees. This is the renewal. There's no changes with the renewal. Premiums are set the same. We're under, the premiums have been the same since 2017. So nothing has changed in that policy.
Thank you.
All right, roll call vote.
Ms. Callahan Wozniak?
Yes.
Mr. McBride?
Yes.
Ms. Gonzalez?
Yes.
Ms. Hannah?
Yes.
Ms. Leguizamo?
Yes.
President Ewing?
Yes, items approved, motion carries. I'm gonna read those for the record. 12A, student accident and athletic catastrophic accident insurance renewal. B, employee life insurance renewal. And C, approval of equipment purchases for cafeteria renovations. Again, highlighting this item, people talk about where does the money go, and it goes a lot of places. But if you've seen, we've been upgrading a lot of our school buildings, and this is a continuation of that effort. The fiscal impact of that, these items are $370,000, right? So we are pushing funds into the school. I'm going to be trying to do a better job of calling that out. Personnel items 13A, crisis intervention and safety department courtesy officer.
So moved. Oh,
Motion by Ms. Leguizamo.
Needs to be read, right? Sorry.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, Superintendent.
It is a recommendation of the administration that the Board of Education authorizes the superintendent to approve the hiring of one additional courtesy officer at the Lincoln Center building.
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Leguizamo.
Second.
Second by her, Mr. McBride first. Any comments or questions on the motion?
Yes, I have a question. As I was looking at this, and I thought about where this position was going to be, and the crisis intervention. I'm not understanding why we need that here in Lincoln Center. And I do understand the safety department courtesy officer, but we already have those people that are downstairs at the in the foyer, and when that they're greeting people when they come in. And so I'm not understanding, number one, why do we need a crisis intervention for Lincoln Center? And why aren't the individuals that we're using now, why can't they just be reclassified, and instead of bringing someone else in?
Good evening, Board President, Board members, Superintendent, community, and colleagues. Ms. Hannah, to address your first one, we can't reclassify the position for the switchboard operator because they're in two different unions.
It doesn't say switchboard operator, sir.
The switchboard operator would be relocated, and the courtesy officer is replacing the switchboard operator that's currently there.
I'm confused.
So when you said the people that are greeting individuals, there are, I think I can help out a little bit. When we come in for the board meetings, there are safety officers downstairs, but those individuals are not stationed here throughout the day. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. So what we would be asking is, right now, there's one switchboard operator who is a part of the Paras Union who sits at the front desk.
Correct.
And then there's one safety, or what is this? A courtesy officer that's assigned to Lincoln Center.
That's correct.
Down from two previously. So somebody either left or retired, and they had not been replaced.
That's correct.
And now the request is to go back up to the two. Is that right?
Yes, we would be going back up to two.
Can I make a comment? Oh, sorry, Ms. Hannah.
Go ahead, Ms.
Yeah, I'm okay. I'm still trying to understand why we need a crisis intervention here at Lincoln Center. We got grown people here.
Yeah, I can give
I want him to answer. Thank you.
Okay.
Ms. Hannah, if you look at the current data and look at all of the active shooter incidents that happen, most of them happen in areas like this. And so we want to make sure that our buildings, all of our buildings, are safe. We take a look at our procedures, and we saw the need to add a courtesy officer here who was trained in de-escalation techniques as well as physical restraints.
And my only question to that is, I think where that is the subject, crisis intervention, but this person wouldn't be assigned to crisis intervention. That's just a part of their training. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. I too question the idea of adding a second. One of the biggest complaints that we receive is due to the phones and due to just some of the issues with parents not having somebody or being able to be directed. And so if we had additional resources as opposed to a courtesy officer, superintendent, my question would be, why are we not looking at a secretary, right, as opposed to a courtesy officer?
So I think that a piece that we're leaving out is that our phone operator is currently located at the main entrance. Due to the union and some conversations, she will not be located in that area any longer. So she's going to be moved out of the main entrance, and that is why Mr. Wilson is requesting two courtesy officers there. One that could sit behind, and correct me if I'm wrong, one that would sit behind where the current phone operator is seated now, and one that would be right at the entrance. Because he is losing somebody at the main face of the building, he is requesting another courtesy officer. And that part was left out. So if we did not approve this, there would only be one person there in the main entrance, because the operator will be moved to a different locations with, I want to make sure I'm saying this right, with negotiations with the union into how her position should be placed. Am I correct?
Yes.
And I go back to I'm going to support this when I was on the fence. But I do have the same question, is why not we need someone who has access to our systems. I know that the pairs and the secretaries don't access the same systems. If this person is moving and we have individuals that are coming to the building, and part of it is due to making sure that the union is supporting where the staff members are able to fulfill their jobs, I guess the addition of the courtesy officer, to me, I don't see how that continues to benefit parents or students. So I'm not saying I don't support it, but if we're removing that from the front, and you're going to have parents that are coming in here with paperwork issues, and we have an individual that doesn't have access to all of the same systems as our secretaries, I just feel like that's going to be a problem.
And I am in complete agreement with you. And Mr. Moulton, I'm going to call you up here because when we initially had put the phone operator at the main entrance, it was my understanding, and I believe that the board remembers, that we had worked out an MOU with the WIPS union so that that position would be able to do that dual role. Part of the issue is it's a contractual issue of what safety can do versus the phone operator versus the clerical.
Yes.
And so in order to do this, we have to ensure that we're working out MOUs. And I did ask Mr. Moulton to look into the historical, the historical nature of this. When we did bring that phone operator up there, my understanding was that we did create an MOU with the union, and I know the board's question was the question I had posed to you maybe about 2 weeks ago. So can you please answer?
Thank you, Superintendent. Good evening, board members, staff, and community. So that is something that is historical. We have, Mr. Wilson and myself, discussed options with the current leadership of both the unions, the WPSS union, as well as the paraprofessional union, so that we have some redundancy in systems. But part of this request, outside of the current switchboard operator going to another location in the building and supporting the directory and some of the phone items that have come up recently, is also to manage information or individuals that come in the main lobby, provide escorts throughout the building. As Mr. Wilson mentioned, this is part of the Crisis Intervention and Safety Department, but as a courtesy officer, oftentimes we have individuals, specifically parents, come into the building. They want to speak with somebody, transportation, human resources, etc., and they don't know where they're going, but we don't have an extra individual to take them and escort them to those locations. And also, some of the items that we mentioned last week that I would like to reiterate is there are other functions these individuals will be doing besides being a backup resource to answering the phone and greeting individuals at the front. They check individuals in, they run a quick background with their IDs, they print new IDs for new district staff members and contractors, and they also do perimeter checks around the building. So when they are taking breaks and spelling each other for their breaks or escorting other individuals throughout the building so they don't get lost, this will allow us an opportunity to always have coverage at the front door, main entrance, with a physical person during the regular building hours. But yes, we did collaborate with our two WPSS and paraprofessional unions on this to make sure that this would be successful.
So, and I want clarity from me is this individual would be backup, but there are still plans to work out an actual either greeter or secretarial position that will remain at the front door.
So this courtesy officer would replace that individual. The switchboard secretary that's in the Secretary's Union that supports Mr. Ayala's office would be relocated to another part of the building to focus on the base of their primary job responsibility.
So, Mr. Moulton, I'm going to ask the board to hold this over, please, until we have discussions on, I think the question I've asked you, I don't feel comfortable that it was completely answered. I know you touched on it, but I want to see the contractual or if the MOU we signed. So if we could just hold on this and we'll bring it back at the next board meeting, please.
Do we withdraw our motions?
Sure.
Ms. Wozniak withdraws her motion. And
I
Ms.
believe it was
Leguizamo
me, actually.
withdraws
Yeah,
her second
so
motion.
I withdraw the motion. I
So
was going to vote no.
both individuals withdraw the motion. And oh, sorry, Jeff, you were the second. Do you withdraw your motion?
What?
You withdraw your motion?
Well, if it's being held over, I don't have no other option.
you can push it. But I mean, but yeah, you got an option. But yes, thank you for that, Mr. McBride. And again, my question, and then we'll move on, is related around. I like the idea. We know sometimes that parents are escalating in that lobby. I've seen it. I've been here in the building when it's happening, but a lot of times it's due to frustration. And one of the frustrating things outside of the phone is a lack of being able to answer questions. And so my fear is if you put an individual at that front door and they don't have access to the systems, or there's a disconnect. A backup for the phones, 100%. That's one of Ms. Hannah's pet peeves. When me, I work off of emails and texts. But there are parents and people in our community that when they call, they want to get an answer or a return phone call within a short period of time. So even if we have to add positions in the WIPS union or whatever, I don't care. But let's make sure that we have someone or multiple individuals at that front of our administrative offices that can greet families and have access to systems and process that information. So that, I believe, is the ask.
Yes. Thank you, Board President. And we are currently not aware of the prior MOU or agreement with the previous administration, but we will double check that and make sure.
Thank you, Ms. Moulton. Next item is 13B, personnel for 8/23/22.
It is the recommendation that the Board of Education accepts the administration's recommendation to approve the appointments and accept the resignations as found on schedules F986 and L933.
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Ms. Wozniak, I'm sorry.
Second.
Second by Ms. Leguizamo. Any comments or questions on the motion?
Are we voting? We're not pulling anything off, right?
No.
Okay.
Roll call vote, please.
Ms. Callahan Wozniak?
Yes.
Mr. McBride?
Yes.
Ms. Gonzalez?
Yes.
Ms. Hannah?
Yes.
Ms. Leguizamo?
Yes.
President Ewing?
Yes, item approved, motion carries. And I know we got some administrative appointments.
At this time, I'd like to introduce Mr. Clifton McKenzie, who previously served as a case manager basketball coach in Kenosha, Wisconsin. He will now serve as the culture climate specialist at the Brookside campus with a starting salary of $55,000. Congratulations, Mr. McKenzie.
All right. Mr. McKenzie says he's a spades player, so I don't know if we want to get a spades competition going over at one of the high schools. But
two of my favorite games. Our second appointment will be Brianna Hines, who previously served as position control here at Lincoln Center in HR. She will now serve as the new culture and climate specialist at Abbott Middle School with a starting salary of $55,000. Congratulations, Mrs. Hines. Our next appointment will be Shianta Myers, who previously served as the assistant principal at Juarez. I'm a little sad here, but I'm glad you're going to Dan. She will now serve as the new assistant principal at the Washington campus with Mr. Hill at the starting salary of $95,000. Congratulations, Mrs. Myers. Dan, I don't know how you pulled that off.
All right, you had the baby. You had the baby, ready to take on the world. Let's do it.
all right, we are at financial report 16A. Ratification of the second August 2022 processing of board bills, manual check request payments, and First Midwest insurance payments for the period of August 3rd, 2022 through August 16th, 2022.
It is a recommendation of the administration that the Board of Education ratify the second processing of board bills for August 2022 and manual check request payments and First Midwest insurance payments for the period of August 3rd, 2022 through August 16, 2022. The accounts payable board August 3rd, 2022 through August 16, 2022. Payments total $4,007,934.94. The manual check request payments for the period of August 3rd, 2022 through August 16, 2022 total $802,896.63. The First Midwest insurance payments for the period of August 3rd, 2022 through August 16, 2022 total $2,294,309.02.
Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Wozniak, second by Ms. Gonzalez. Any comments, questions on the motion?
I have, Mr. President, I am, well, you know, I just need some further information from our finance department about some things. And I am actually just asking if I could go into finance and talk with them.
No problem.
Yep. So, with that, Ms. Hanley, you can schedule that with the superintendent and Ms. Polk. If there are no other questions or comments, roll call vote, please.
Ms. Callahan Wozniak,
Yes.
Mr. McBride, Ms. Gonzalez,
Yes.
Ms. Hannah,
Yes.
Ms. Leguizamo,
Yes.
President Ewing.
Yes, item approved, motion carries. Board of Ed is 8:46. We still have to go back into closed session.
I just want
I can see if my time is
No, not at all. We want you to present. But committee reports?
We had an insurance committee meeting, and the rates will be coming out soon, and information.
And if there
We
are,
haven't signed the contract yet, so.
and what we may want to do, Superintendent, is I know there's always questions about what committees are currently meeting and when they meet and if there's a reset. So maybe if we can just get an updated list of committees and then we can review those with the board. If there isn't board participation and a board member is interested, they can make those requests to you or myself.
Yeah, once we get the list, right?
Right.
Okay, 'cause I'm kind of confused about the committees right now.
Yeah, so outside of our normal standing committees, there are no new board committees. So I just want to know what committees exist, and then if there's opportunity for board participation, we'll bring that forward. But those are superintendent committees.
Right.
All right, next up is delegates report.
I really don't have a delegates report aside from there's a constant string of emails regarding ISB upcoming webinars and so forth, and just kind of keep up to date with that, because that those attending those webinars and so forth, you get your points for your master board member and the other distinctions. But other than that, that's it. Oh, wait, one other thing. I'm sorry. On Friday, there's going to be a literacy summit that I will be attending virtually with the people that initiated this. It is growing, and I also received a very good article. It was in the Times magazine in reference to what they're finding, research what they're finding, and how best to teach children how to read. And guess what, people? We were on the cutting edge. Science of reading and the phonics. So it's right there. And so Friday, and I will have I'll have a review of the meeting at the next board meeting.
All right, so now we have the superintendent's report.
Yeah, at this time, I'd like to ask Mr. Alagakis to come up. Did you want Tasha to come up with you? Did she? I see Mr. Hill went to get ready for tomorrow morning.
Ms. Fields is our expert on the subject matter. So what we have this evening is a video that we worked on about the graduation policy, and the board, you guys had a lot of discussion about it. And what our team wanted to do was put together something that explains some of the changes, some of the shifts that are occurring for our families. And so Ms. Jen Rice, Della Sanchez, Ms. Fields worked along myself on a script, and our principals, the stars of the video, were kind enough to come in and film and kind of explain the process to our families in a way that we hope brings some clarity to this discussion topic, or to this topic that the board will be taking action on. And so obviously the information shared can change. That's up to the board's discretion. We know the board still has the discretion to make some tweaks that they'd like before doing that final reading, what we hope will be September 13th. But we did want to show this video that was shared with our families and our staff today. And Ms. Fields, is there anything else you'd like to add before? I did an excellent job. She has nothing to add. So go ahead, Lee, I guess.
Hello, Waukegan families. We are Daniel Hill,
Avalira Rodriguez Gonzalez, and Flor Carter, and we are principals at Waukegan High School and AOEC. We are here today to talk to you about some potential shifts in our district's graduation policy and what it will mean to future Bulldog graduates.
Over the last several months, we have been hard at work reimagining what education looks like in Waukegan and exploring transformation in our practices to meet students' needs. We are excited to share information about our graduation policy review process and how we believe these shifts can better support Waukegan High School students and offer additional educational opportunities. This potential change is significant, and the process by which we came to this recommendation was not one that was taken lightly. The graduation policy was reviewed as part of our district's equity policy review process, and the team members spent a considerable amount of time examining the barriers that may exist for our students, while also looking at how we can offer additional enrichment and preventative academic and social emotional support versus post-failure support. Our proposed graduation policy has three main shifts from the current policy. First, the policy would no longer require 4 years of physical education as a mandatory credit course. Instead, 4 years of PE will shift to a required course enrollment. This means students will continue to take the course and receive GPA credit, but the graduation status would not be dependent upon them passing it. Second, freshman seminar will shift from a mandatory credit for graduation to a required course enrollment only for 9th graders. This means that students who join us after the 9th grade will no longer be required to take freshman seminar as upperclassmen in order to meet this requirement. And last, we are aligning with State of Illinois requirements and shifting from 3 years of mandatory social science credits to 2 years of mandatory social science credit. All three of these changes will continue to meet state-required graduation standards. It's important to stress that all other current graduation requirements will remain the same, including requirements related to course subjects such as English language arts, math, and lab sciences, as well as elective requirements in the categories of fine arts, foreign language, business CTE, and speech and general electives. And of course, a student who wishes to earn more credits than is required will be encouraged to do so, and will also have many opportunities to do so. The changes in physical education, freshman seminar, and social sciences will reduce the amount of credits a Waukegan High School student will be required to achieve beginning in the 2023-2024 school year. More importantly, this shift will relax the rigidness of current scheduling and open the opportunities for students to receive additional support for interventions early on, while also allowing them to broaden their course load. We look forward to offering more opportunities for enrichment courses, credit recovery, study hall, interventions, social emotional learning, and mental health support, as well as dual credit courses, work study, career and technical education classes, and additional elective options. In the coming weeks, our Board of Education will take formal action on this proposal, and changes will take effect beginning next school year.
We know there was a lot of information shared in this video, but in closing, we hope that our parents, students, and staff, and all community stakeholders understand that this policy change will allow us to increase our ability to take advantage of the resources in which we have invested in and that our students need in order to close the academic, social, emotional, and behavioral gaps. Allow us to provide the supplemental elective programming and academic interventions needed during the school day when the students are available to us. Create the possibility for all students to benefit from having additional enrichment and additional academic, social, emotional learning and credit recovery if needed. Thank you for your time, and
go Bulldogs!
I'm gonna say it's a great video. Tell Dan he could blink next time, but we want to see more, these types of communication. More of these types of communication. So again, kudos to our media team being able to explain at least what's being proposed, right? And for parents to understand it. I think that was recommendation and feedback that you all got is, are we taking the time to inform the community on what is being proposed, the why behind it? And then again, it'll be up to the board on if we support it or we don't. But I do thank you all in that it also went out in Spanish, right? So we are recording in both English and Spanish to communicate to majority of our families. So thank you. Quick questions, because there's no action tonight.
Right.
Ms. Hannah.
Yeah, we did not remove the tech campus from students, did we?
No.
Students still can do tech campus. Okay.
Ms. Leguizamo.
Was the Spanish video subtitled or dubbed?
The Spanish video, when you watch the English version, you'll see that Miss Avalera didn't say much in the English version. She did all of this speaking in the Spanish version. So it was a completely different video with different graphics and in Spanish language. And that was the version that was sent to parents. Both of them are available on our YouTube page as well as our Facebook page if anyone is interested in viewing them.
When will these, or when have these been sent out, or will
they were sent out this afternoon to parents. They were emailed to all parents as well as texted to parents, and they were emailed to staff.
Thank you. All right, so we are now, again, I got no request for old business. I got no request for new business prior to the meeting. So I'm going to skip those sections for time. My hope is that we can get through board member time, and then we can be out of here after going back into closed session at 9:30. So that is what I'm looking for. So with that, we are at board member time. I'm going to start with Ms. Gonzalez.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't have too much to say, and if anyone's noticed, I've stayed really quiet because I've lost my voice. And if everyone was wondering where everyone was in Waukegan this past weekend, we were all at the Bad Bunny concert. I saw a lot of alumni, a lot of friends, a lot of young families with their kids out there. And I just mentioned that because I think our families and our students really need to see that we're out there. We listen to the music that they listen to. We look for opportunities of happiness the same way they do. And I know I had a lot of life just seeing my friends really happy to see their favorite artists, and kind of bringing it back to the word web that was presented earlier by the people, the community members who want to address mental health. You know, I saw Tarot, Apagón, Moscow Mule, those are all songs that Bad Bunny sings, and I know that our students like relate to what he's talking about in those songs, because they do feel depression or love loss, and you know, as they're coming of age, we all feel those things. So I really hope that you know, we start to embrace that a little bit more in the community. Really just take the time to understand that between generations, like we're all sort of listening to the same things or finding ways to connect it through music, through art, and all that. So I really look forward to working in partnership with some of the individuals that came and presented. And yeah, I hope that more of our community gets to celebrate moments like that together.
Thank you, Ms. Gonzalez. Ms. Hannah.
Okay, I just want to publicly state that I will begin visiting buildings within this month, and I just want to make a suggestion that I would like to be able to see sign-in sheets or have some way to sign in permanently where the sheets are not disappearing or getting lost. Okay. Also, I would like to know the 6-day enrollment per each school, and also what enrollment will be submitted to the state. Okay, well, the number. I'm looking for numbers of the enrollment. I am asking about the status of all of the cases that Dr. Hillary and Outreach were working on, involving students in crisis, and how are we continuing the services that the McKinney-Vento students and families were receiving, and what is the plan? That is a federal mandated program for districts, and we need to make sure that we are continuing those students getting the services that they were getting before the unfortunate dismissal of Dr. Hillary. And then finally, well, two more things. The Christian Eubanks was the student that was unfortunately killed in the car accident. On his way, he and 4 other students were on their way, their first day of college. They were on their way going to their first college. And even though he was in Warren, okay, he was still a Waukegan individual. And I was hoping that we had some type of crisis, the crisis intervention team at particularly the high school, because he was in the Waukegan community, and many of the students knew him. And so hopefully we were able to provide that that service to our students if they needed it. And then finally, I'm sad to say that my junior at Washington campus came home and told me that that there were adults that were being rude, and I'm going by what she said to me, and it was a very personal incident. Okay, I mean a female personal incident, right? And they were very rude to her, and I certainly hope that that's not what the support staff for our students are doing, not stereotyping. Because you see a black child and you think that they're troublemakers and all of that. My granddaughter happens to be a very good student, has been all her school experience. And for someone, she's a very mild-mannered child, and for someone to be mean to her in the time that they were being mean to her, that impacts the kids. And like I told Mr. Hill, I don't want to have to come over there and say anything, because for my children, I will. So I certainly hope, Superintendent, that you kind of remind your principals to make sure that the staff are treating students with respect. And I will explain, I'm not going to do it in public, but I will explain what I'm talking about to you. I'm done, that's it.
Ms. Leguizamo.
Have a great night, everyone. Thank you, Board President.
Mr. McBride, I'll come back to you if you got anything for board member time.
Not at all.
Ms. Wozniak.
The kickoff for the football season starts Thursday, August 25th at North Chicago, an away game. I hope to see you all there. And I'm proud to announce that the collaboration between the school district and the Waukegan Parks Foundation is continuing. We will have our all second grade swim program up and running again this year, starting October 6th. We're working out the bus availability, but it looks like we're going to get that off the ground. I'm sorry to say that we're not going to be able to make up for the kids, the students that have missed it, but we're working on something for them. But so I'm excited about that news.
Sure, is there a financial piece to that?
Financial, yes.
Yeah.
How
does that work?
The Parks Foundation pays for the part of the problem why we can't make up the other classes is because we don't have the staff at the swimming instructors to do it. They're in a crisis situation there too, and they don't have enough support there at Hinkston Fieldhouse.
That's good.
But and then there's the bus. We get the free meals, so that's one point that's easily done. But we need to get the kids from the school to the thing, so that's the bus, and then we supply swimsuits, and that's on the foundation, and then we pay for the lifeguards and the facilities.
Thank you. Yeah, they do great work, and glad that they're able to come back water safety is important, and I'm glad that we and the foundation continue to push to make that a priority. As I know the pandemic paused it, but Ms. Wozniak tried all she could to make it work last year, and it couldn't. So I'm glad to see it come back. So what I will say in closing is thank you to the Board of Ed, thank you to community members and staff who stayed, and those who are watching online. I want to say we will be following up when our students come forward, when our staff comes forward, when our communities come forward. A lot of times we hear that there is no follow-up or that there's not work that happens. There's a lot of work that happens. There's a lot of follow-up. There's a lot of conversations in order to make things better for all. And what you saw tonight was just a small part of that. So I'll continue to make sure that we are elevating voices and partners who are solution oriented and based and want us to work together in order to make sure that our students are successful, and that we are a real community. So with that, I would like a motion to go into closed session under exceptions C1, specific personnel, C23, collective bargaining, C11, actual threat and litigation, and C21, approval of previous closed session minutes. Board of Ed, if we can meet downstairs in
So moved.
5 minutes.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Gonzalez, second was Ms. Leguizamo. All in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
Oh, no, I'm sorry, roll call to go into closed session.
Oh, sorry.
Mr. McBride? Ms. Callahan Wozniak?
Yes.
Ms. Gonzalez?
Yes.
Ms. Hannah? Ms. Leguizamo?
Yes.
President Ewing?
Yes. All right, we are now technically in closed session. I'll meet you guys down.